Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking, well, a pretty massive conceptual leap in modern tech. We're going to dive into the fascinating technical evolution that transformed raw, honestly kind of unpredictable AI text generators into the safe, aligned assistants that we actually trust in enterprise environments today. So let's jump right in, because understanding this shift is basically the master key to unlocking AI in high-stakes industries like finance, accounting, and beyond.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a bit of a mystery. Why did early language models, the ones trained using a method called Supervised Fine-Tuning, or SFT, completely fail at being reliable workplace assistants? I mean, just a few years ago, these models could write perfectly coherent sentences. But researchers quickly realized that SFT alone just wasn't going to cut it. They were spitting out wildly unsafe outputs, hallucinating completely fabricated facts, literally just making stuff up, and giving really low-quality responses. They'd learned the statistical patterns, sure, but they were missing something absolutely crucial. To really wrap your head around this, think of an SFT-only AI like a brand new junior accountant. If you only train that junior accountant by showing them past examples of completed forms, well, they'll perfectly mimic the formatting, they'll imitate the wording, they'll reproduce the exact structure you showed them, but they'll be blissfully unaware of the absolute chaos they might cause, right? They entirely lack the professional judgment and risk awareness you need to make safe, accurate recommendations. They're just copying the surface level, totally blind to the real-world consequences. And this side-by-side perfectly illustrates the problem. If you prompt an early, unaligned model about a sensitive topic, like, say, ways to deal with stress, you might get a really dismissive, shallow, or even totally unsafe response like we see on the left. Contrast that with what we actually want on the right, a supportive, evidence-based, empathetic, and constructive response. In enterprise finance, whether you're generating audit explanations, tax guidance, or reporting to the board, you absolutely need that aligned quality. You have to optimize for professionalism and safety, not just what's statistically likely to be the next word.
Section 1. Teaching AI Human Preferences.
So researchers were looking at a massive hurdle. How do you mathematically teach a computer to optimize for incredibly nuanced human preferences, like empathy and professionalism? Well, they solved this by reframing text generation completely. They turned it into a sequential decision-making problem. It's actually a lot like dynamic forecasting or portfolio optimization in finance. At every single word or token, the model is making an active choice based on the prompt and the history of the conversation. And every single choice the AI makes impacts the overall risk and quality of the final outcome. It isn't just mindlessly spitting out words anymore. It's navigating a path where it actually receives rewards or penalties based on its choices.
Section 2. The RLHF Breakthrough.
This brilliant shift in perspective paved the way for what is arguably a defining breakthrough in artificial intelligence, reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. Here is how this ingenious four-step process actually works. Step 1, the model generates a bunch of different possible answers to a prompt. Step 2, human reviewers evaluate and rank those outputs, from best to worst, checking for helpfulness, correctness, and professional tone. Step 3, a secondary neural network called a reward model learns those specific human preferences. It essentially learns to predict what we like. And finally, step 4, the AI uses reinforcement learning to maximize its reward score. It literally learns to behave by mathematically chasing the highest approval rating from its human teachers. It's wild.
When we map this evolution out on a timeline, it becomes incredibly clear why this matters so much. Back in 2019, GPT-2 was coherent, but very, very limited at following instructions. Then in 2020, GPT-3 showed much stronger reasoning and emergent capabilities, but it was still totally misaligned. And then comes 2022. Injecting RLHF into the mix is exactly what transformed the impressive but misaligned GPT-3 into the radically helpful conversational ChatGPT we know today. That specific combination of SFT and RLHF alignment really was the game changer.
Section 3. The full alignment pipeline. Now that we understand the individual pieces, let's zoom out a bit. The complete modern architecture layers on itself perfectly. Stage 1 is pre-training on massive corpora of text. This is what builds the raw language intelligence. Stage 2 is supervised fine-tuning, using demonstrations to teach basic assistant behavior and formatting. Stage 3 introduces that reward modeling we talked about, where humans rank outputs to capture our values. And finally, Stage 4 applies reinforcement learning, using those reward signals, locking in that safe, aligned conversational behavior. Every single stage here is a mandatory building block for enterprise-ready AI.
Section 4. Enterprise AI and Governance.
All right, now let's apply this massive computer science breakthrough directly to the highly regulated, high-stakes reality of enterprise finance. The stakes here are just incredibly high. When you're deploying AI for critical tasks, like drafting IFRS memos, conducting complex tax research, or financial forecasting, accuracy isn't just nice to have. You absolutely must have strict adherence to regulations and organizational policy. You simply can't rely on raw generation. The system has to avoid hallucinations and produce outputs that meet rigorous professional standards every single time.
So, the crucial takeaway here is this. Enterprise AI is fundamentally an AI governance problem. To function safely in a corporate environment, these systems require deep domain and compliance alignment. They need RAG grounding, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, meaning the AI is pulling strictly from your own verified data. And, of course, you need full auditability and professional approval workflows. It's an entire ecosystem of controls designed to keep the AI on track and completely accountable to you.
Section 5. The human-in-the-loop future.
Which brings us to the absolute most vital application of all this tech for leadership today. Despite the incredible, almost magical power of these aligned models, there's a hard truth we all need to embrace. The future is not fully autonomous AI. Nope. The future is human-guided AI systems. Especially in fields like accounting and finance, humans remain entirely responsible for the judgment, the controls, the approvals, and the final accountability. You can't just hand over the keys to the machine and walk away.
I absolutely love this quote from our source material because it hits the nail right on the head. AI becomes the accelerator, not the final authority. These aligned AI models, trained through this incredibly complex pipeline of human feedback, are here to radically accelerate your workflows. They're going to draft the memo, pull the tax code, structure your treasury analysis, do the heavy lifting. But you, the professional, remain the final, critical authority who signs off on the rest. It's a partnership.
So, as enterprise accounting systems continue to evolve at lightning speed, I'm talking incorporating AI tax copilots, reconciliation agents, forecasting assistants, the whole shebang, I want to leave you with this final critical thought. The technology is here, and thanks to RLHF, it finally knows how to behave. But the essential question you need to be asking right now is, how will your organization implement human-in-the-loop governance to safely accelerate your enterprise? Think about your workflows, your controls, your people. The AI is ready to assist, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to govern it.